I'm a field scientist. I have studied agriculture science, rural innovation, agriculture extension models. I recognize myself as a field scientist, and I say, how great scientist you are, how greatest your scientific innovation is. It is of no use until and unless the end user stakeholders, the last mile smallholder farmers, are not having access to those scientific innovations. Therefore, I invested my years in testing, evaluating various delivery mechanisms, models, partnerships to ensure those noble germplasms, those quality seeds, those training, knowledge, institutional support reaches to the smallholder farmers who needs them the most. I engaged extensively working with community, women, their institutions, rural youth, to ensure that their choice, voice, and participation is respected while transferring technology for them. I have been inspired by many greatest minds and innovators in science and rural innovation space. Dr. Norman Borlaug, Dr. Verghese Kurian, Dr. Swaminathan. What I have learned from them, that when we dream, and when we dream big, we need to make sure that we channelize our energy towards a larger social transformation and not just towards our personal achievements. And I will ensure that whatever science I do, whatever intervention I do, that is directed towards a larger social transformation. And thank you for believing that world is one when it comes to science and humanity.
Please join our next seminar in the Catalyst of Change series on November 21st.
Welcome to the Catalyst of Change Women Leaders in Science seminar series. There is interpretation available in Spanish, French, and Hindi. To access interpretation, you choose the language of your preference by clicking the translation button at the base of your Zoom screen. We invite you to follow us in LinkedIn, YouTube, and social media using the hashtag Women in Science for the Catalyst of Change Women Leaders in Science seminar series. On the screen, you will see the QR code that will give you access to Slido for submitting questions and comments to be addressed in the Q&A session. We will be hearing today from an inspiring young leader in agriculture research and development, Swati Nayak, recipient of the 2023 Borlaug Field Award from the World Food Prize Foundation. Swati Nayak will be interviewed by Madhulika Singh, Research Associate in the Sustainable Agri-Food Systems Program of CIMMYT. Now, I would like to welcome Brian Goberts, Director General of CIMMYT, to officially open the event and welcome our distinguished speaker, Swati Nayak. Dr. Goberts, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Isabel, and of course, thank to you, everybody online. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this yet again webinar of our Catalyst of Change Women Leaders in Science series. We are hosting this TED Talk meets fireside chat style series on women leaders because we strongly believe that we need more women leaders in science institutions like ours. When we looked at several recommendations, including several research underpinned revisions of why women leaders are still lacking in several of the organizations we all represent, one of the recommendations was the need for better role models that we all can look at, but especially women leaders can learn from in order to forge, design, develop their own leadership style. It is therefore that in this series, we highlight women who are leaders in all sorts of capacities, in the field, in advanced research, in the government, in their village, in their community, because we believe that leadership styles can take many different forms. I'm very pleased and honored to today present Swati Nayak as our Catalyst of Change guest speaker. She's a scientist and South Asia lead for seed systems with the CGIAR International Rice and Research Institute. She holds the prestigious title of 2023 Borlaug Field Award recipient from the World Food Prize Foundation, and she also serves as the Cereal Seed Systems Work Package Lead in the CGIAR Global Initiative SeedEqual. But above all, she is a lead scientist within IRRI's rice breeding innovation platform And her approach is aligned with the preferences of farmers, gender choices, social equity in seed access, and also with the demands of value chain stakeholders and consumer needs. She's dedicated to ensuring delivery of genetic gains for potential varieties in farmers' fields and facilitating seed market development to give farmers access to high-quality seeds sought after crop varieties. She has successfully introduced numerous climate-resilient rice varieties in South Asia, contributing towards sustainable agriculture. She has an extensive professional background in steering programs that focus on scaling innovation, delivery systems, technology transfer, and extensive public-private community partnership strategies that focus on accelerating the impact and scale of agriculture technology. She has also experience in engaging women and communities in technology scaling initiatives and targeting. She has contributed to the establishment of numerous seed production businesses led by women, championed by women, and smallholder farmers. Above all, her educational journey includes a PhD in competitive intelligence for agriculture extension management strategy, a master's degree in rural management from the Institute of Rural Management, and a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture. She has more than 13 years of experience in agriculture and rural innovations, initiatives, and roles. Well, what I wanted to say is that above all, we are honored to have Swati here because she is one of the young leaders in our system. She is one of the women that has catalyzed change, not by words, but by doing. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Team Catalysts of Change. And thank you, Bram, for your, detailed introduction of my work and background. I'm really honored, and this platform is very, very special because this talks about the contributions, the leadership, and the examples set by women in science space. And also this gives them an opportunity to share to the broader audience and to the world what they have been doing in their respective domain. So today I am here in the capacity of a women field scientist who has been working in the space of seed systems in my regular role in IRRI rice breeding innovation platform, but also working with CGIAR initiative SeedEqual. So I feel very privileged to share my work and which actually led to this prestigious Borlaug Field Award 2023. And I would like to take you through this, research which we have been doing, engaging community, engaging women, engaging, farmers directly in our different innovative and extensive delivery models and mechanisms to deliver the genetic gain in farmer fields. So let me share my screen. I have a few slides to talk about my technical work. And yeah, I hope my screen is visible. Well, I will be talking about how we are taking the seeds to the end user, to the farmer, from the lab to the market, and also from lab to the field. But also, it's beyond the story of how we deliver the genetic gain in farmer field. It's also about their livelihood, also about empowerment and equity, which we take as a central aspect of our interventions. So we all are aware about seed and its criticality, and we can easily guess the most important aspects of the imperatives, which is, very clear to all of us in this fraternity, that how critical it was in shaping up the Green Revolution. And when the high-yielding varieties arrived, and how the entire extension and stakeholders played role to disseminate the quality seeds of those varieties to millions of farmers, to change the food security scenario in many struggling countries, and South Asia, India, and many developing nations who were struggling for food security at that point of the time could leverage what was necessary and essential at that point of the time, thanks to availability of seeds of those high-yielding varieties. And we know seed is input and technology for the farmers. Even the smallholder farmers can actually afford this very well without much investment needed for them. And if I keep every other treatments or every other aspects of agriculture, even minimal, a use of quality seed can lead to 50 to 20% increase in productivity. And one of the important part of it is that a variety's genetic gain is reposited or stored in the form of seed, and in order to realize those yield gains and the productivity increase, we need to ensure that varietal awareness, seed access, affordability, and a continuous and sustained adoption of those novel varieties of germplasms are happening by the farmers. We all have been talking about or struggling or grappling with the challenges of varietal turnover. Like, still farmers grow very age-old varieties, and the average age of varieties ranges from 28 to 40 years in the countries like India, Bangladesh, and many other. And in the rice perspective, it is again like, very alarming that, we need to also ensure that when thousands and thousands of new varieties have arrived and only handful of varieties are available in the seed chain, and people are using still the age-old varieties, we need to ensure that the varietal turnover is happening, and as well as the quality seed replacement is also happening with the farmers. Till date, we also see that the average seed replacement rate in many rice growing countries in Asia is only 30% or even lesser in many smallholder pockets. And as we know, the challenges that has been increasing, new generation germplasms are going to play an important role. The climate change, the multiple stress conditions, the challenges around undernutrition, and the grappling health issues with the consumers. So these can be addressed by use of low-cost technology that includes improved and novel germplasm that is our scientists are breeding for, and that can only be delivered through a robust system. While we talk about this, and we also know that the existing demand and supply gap and the lack of access of quality seeds to the smallholders, even now, the entire formal distribution mechanism that is there in many countries are not enough to reach out to all those last mile farmers, and there is a lot more need to be done. I'm just trying to. Apart from all these, backgrounds, we also need to understand that, seeds are just not inputs. These are also full-fledged products which operates in, evolved marketplace for many commodities, especially the largely grown cereal crops, which are considered as very critical and central to food security of millions of masses. These products has to operate in in a competitive market space, and this also carries value beyond what it contributes to the production or productivity. It carries value in terms of its business potentials and other opportunity, which can lead to strengthening the livelihood opportunities for the farmers just beyond basic productivity gain or the production volume. So that also calls out for how the stakeholders or the end users who are central to this, the smallholder farmers and community, are having enough varietal intelligence about the new varieties that has been arriving and what they can grow, what they can replace, and how they will tap the opportunities available in the market. So these are the things which we need to ensure that our end users are having access, not only access to quality seeds, but also to information, infrastructure needed, service, policy, or regulatory support. At the same time, when we look around the seed access part, and only 30% seed replacement rate is visible, and that means like the formal chains are reaching out to only few sections of the society. We all understand the most smallholder pockets of the farmers residing in those areas are still not having timely access to quality seeds. So how do we decentralize our delivery mechanisms and make sure that equitably we are able to reach out to all those smallholder farmers who are not having timely access to quality seeds or even to the newer varieties which are arriving in the market or being developed through our breeding programs. While doing so, we started our comprehensive programs around seed system approaches. But to do so, we had to embrace some changes, and we were not scared to embrace those changes. And we started thinking about not thinking market and society in silos, but also creating the interlinkage in between it. It was necessary, as we also know that seeds are not just critical inputs, but these are also products operating in full-fledged marketplace and has value. And how do we, estimate those demand triggers? How do we ensure that whatever germplasms we are providing as being a novel germplasm is giving them value propositions against their older varieties or the farmer favorite older chicks, or the competitive dominant product which is right now rolling in the market. At the end of the day, our cultivated area is almost constant. It might decrease because we understand rural out migration and reduction in the land area cultivation, so due to several factors. So in that aspect, when that remains constant, a farmer will have to grow a newer variety, they have to replace older variety. So how we make those available technology or these novel varieties which we're taking to them competitive against the most dominant market varieties, so that we can convince them, we can showcase them and tell them to grow that because it is giving them a value proposition. In this context, that we take into consideration the market factors. And while many factors got into consideration, but to name few non-negotiables or essential pillars which we could take in the case of rice was the growing methods, the maturity groups, how the grain shape would be, the cooking quality, ecology. And within that, we also segregated in terms of their different value-added trait on each traits, like climate resilience or, having micronutrients or the protein content, zinc content, and all those aspects were embedded in around all these segments which were created. And this actually led to a very targeted varietal development and advancement. It led to targeted positioning and also, having a better product choice and reducing the risk. It created a right avenue to have a comparison between the exactly fit alternatives, and also to look for, second best alternatives among the farmers. And we could do the targeted early generation seed production, and we could communicate better to the stakeholders, not just the farmers, but also the intermediaries like the dealers, other delivery agents or extension agents, to be able to communicate more clearly on what variety to promote or scale against what variety. And if the first choice is not available, what are the companion product or the next best alternatives available for them in that particular market segments. So we closely linked it to our breeding program. We restructured our approach rigorously by talking to not just only our breeding community or the National Breeders Network for different pipeline and different particular market segment, but also we simultaneously started talking to our extension departments and the extension system institutions that are playing in different countries. Our whole idea was very clear that these two verticals who are not interacting or working in silos due to their disciplinary differences or connections which are missing, they talk the same language and they understand the common vision over here. So while doing so, we started engaging both of them through common platforms, through rigorous advancement meetings, discussions, deliberations, and asking for open nominations, like what germplasms they do have, and then having blindfolded review in on-farm trialing systems in one market segments. We saw that many institutions actually nominated many competitive products, and we handed it over to the hands of the farmers to lay out, to evaluate and check that within this pool of randomized, competitive products in a particular market segment against a popular and dominant market leading variety at that point of the time, what value they see. So they were the judges of that, what is happening and what is performing, what is not performing. We took major data and collection for evidence generation because we also wanted strategic linkages to convince stakeholders, to convince variety release committees, to convince, our seed trade organizations to invest in early generation seed and many other stakeholders to sell and disseminate the seeds. But at the same time, it was also a very rigorous seasonal contextual learning, comparative learning for the farmers to see what works for them, what doesn't work. They were in the riding seat and they were deciding, what to save for themselves or their surrounding neighbor farmers and what to reject. So this approach led to, we try to engage extensively the extension network and institutions, rigorously capacitating them that how do they run such type of trials by connecting them with the breeding network. And that communication led to one outcome, that they all started speaking about the common language, that how do we deliver the genetic gain in the farmer field. Now, when we have this robust and convincing data with us, which were statistically validated, which were also involved rigorous feedbacks from the farmers, and which were hosted by the farmer under farmer management condition without any optimization of the interventions to have a more escalated value and etc. So we got a lot of realistic evidences on what going to work and what not going to work, and that then created a courage and more investment opportunities to engage in a large scale with different scaling institutions or partners or different other strategic institutions to ensure the positioning, demand creation, and and as well as the supply stream strengthening of those new varieties are happening. So while we worked on the demand side, we also worked on the supply side at institutional level. We started engaging with strategic institutions to diversify, to decentralize, in terms of locations, in terms of how many breeders are going to multiply a particular early generation seed of a particular variety and its early generation seed. And then we also mapped the nearest closest multiplier network who would multiply into commercial or quality labeled seeds. We also tapped into the alternative institutions, and we created avenues that alternative institutions are coexisting with each other by giving a maximum or massive push to a new variety in the supply chain, as when the extension system got busy in creating demand for the varieties. As we talked about, how did we created that coexistence of ensuring that the supply of new varieties and new seeds are happening in large quantity. We know there are formal systems, but we also know they cater to only probably 30 to 35% of the client base or the farmers. But what about the 60-65% of the unorganized or the so-called farmer managed seed systems, which neither have access to quality seed, nor have any quality assurance mechanism, nor have access to any delivery and distribution mechanism as well. So we started looking around, leveraging the farmers' institutions. We started mapping rigorously through various government schemes or policies, which are the different mobilized institutions, be it in different form, are existing in our intervention regions. And from out of that, we tried to also map which are the active and ready to go institutions who can get into seed production, seed enterprise, or seed-centrically livelihood opportunities, because we understand that requires specific skill, that requires technical feasibility in terms of type of land they are having, whether it is conducive for seed production or not, the infrastructure support, the market access, and also in terms of their eagerness, keenness, and how proactively they're ready for the innovation or take the risk. But one thing we knew that if we work in a collectivized mode, they have a social collateral, and they have reduced risk among them, and they have also the network to support each other. Hence, we primarily focused to start with, collective enterprise mode, and then we started mobilizing large number of women farmers, as well as, mixed group farmers, and different existing groups into seed production as an enterprise. Now, here one thing is that, when we as scientists or the traditional extension systems reach out to the farmers or build their capacity and skill, we mostly capture the low-hanging fruits around the technical aspects. That is, the most easiest part would be probably the quality seed production trainings. But what was missing for them, the business aspect of that. What was also missing for them, the regulatory aspects of that. And of course, the networking and the marketing linkage was another, the critical wing that was missing out, and that was needed if we wanted them to venture into seed as an enterprise. So in this context, we rigorously invested in all three other pillars of components of skill development, and not just the capacity around the quality seed production. So that created, a lot of interactive platforms, the kind of a buyer-seller meet, the kind of meet with the regulatory authorities, seed certifications officers of the region, talking to the farmers, explaining them the process of registration, explaining them the stages of quality inspection, and a lot more. And that created an unseen, gradual growth and confidence in those institutions which we were working with. And they were no more just the seed producers, but they were the seed entrepreneurs, and they were able to sell a lot of volume of seeds and disseminate those things. And we could see that many of these institutions gradually showing a lot of progress with linkages and the support or technical backstopping created through us or through the national partners and institutions. We spoke about the livelihood and enterprise, but even the small things like, in terms of knowledge equity, that is also an area which is not accessible to many smallholder farmers. It may be possible that a trainer or a scientist going to the farmers, but they cannot be there for the whole season with them, and the farmers has to report back and follow up the rigorous practices of a quality seed production and a lot of other things which are needed on day-to-day basis in their own ecosystem. So if we are engaging with the farmers, if we are engaging with diverse community, so we started creating knowledge materials which were more contextual, which were gender friendly, which are pictorial, without any text or very less text, having simple description of stepwise practices in every month or in any particular week they will be doing if they want to ensure that they're producing the quality seeds, like ticking the box, like what they did, what they didn't do, all those kind of simple yet critical capacity development was done to make them self-sufficient or self-sustained, to ensure that they are able to produce quality seeds on their own. We also started simplifying, our product profiles, our product catalogs and information. In the breeding terminology, we have been talking about profiling, product profiling, product design, and different terminologies have been using. But look, think about from an end user perspective. Think about a grower or even the intermediary aggregator in the seed chain or a dealer. What exact decisive decision points they need. So we try to actually revisit, what kind of detailed information is there, but we created it in a form which is easy for the decision making for them. We just describe the key strengths of the product. We describe also the limitation and the weakness of the product. We described what is the immediate replacement target. We also mentioned about the companion product, like which is the alternative, similar products which they can available if they are not having access to seeds, enough quantity of seeds of the recommended varieties. And of course, the producibility, the the net gain, the value economic value of that by growing it. So all those, decision points were well captured in very simplified format and available in local language, and then that was, positioned for the use by the critical end users in the seed chain. And of course, we also emphasized on massive capacity building and knowledge development programs that varied from different level in a cascaded and layered efforts in terms of designing programs differently for institutional setups, or the TOTs, or the farmers, or the the extension officials, or the local governance stakeholders. So we kind of organized extensive and varied layered programs for different stakeholders that went with our approaches. And how did we went to formalizing many informal institutions or the community into seed business and enterprises? Women were central to it. And I think if we talk about the seed business and enterprise and our training programs, most of the participants, even at many locations, 60 to 70% of the total participants were only women, and many institutions were only women led. So many farmer producer companies and all these, women representative, master trainers, community agents, they were involved in rigorous exposure, seminars, field tours, learning from other incubators, other entrepreneurs, cross-learning exercises, and not just like, classroom training, but as I said, a lot of buyer-seller meet, and also, interaction and market linkage events were organized for them to help them grow into more confident and flourishing entrepreneurs. As we are living in the era where we are talking that we can aid our decision-making process, or our planning tools and our delivery mechanisms through digital innovations, we also kind of thought that why not we create that necessary market intelligence for those critical actors and institutions to make sure our seed supply system is demand driven. As of now, the existing national, state label, province label seed indenting and delivery systems are cumbersome, paper based, having no efficiency, neither the transparency. It creates a lot of lack of trust among various institutions, because if we talk about a public seed corporations who have less corpus fund, who have less infrastructure, unlike many private MNCs or large seed companies, they take risks in a gradual manner, and they cannot go of stocking the seeds in a large quantity and end up not able to sell those things and incurring loss. Whereas the demand indenting was happening through village level workers and the extension functionaries, which represented the, say the government officials, and their goals were more in terms of social outreach and philanthropic, whereas the corporations wanted more, incentive business to run. So a lot of dilemma remained between these two parties to whom to trust, what to trust. So in that aspect, why not digitize the indenting system where we know the most realistic and updated demand, and also we have better decision making. So we try to innovate on that aspect to aid especially the public run or the alternative seed institutions who are not having very evolved market intelligence system or cannot invest in that. So we trying to bring in that aspect as well. Now, in the whole process of demand creation, we wanted to also make sure that farmers' choice and preferences are respected. Our varietal cafeteria approach, became very, very popular. So much popular that we really did not have to invest. Our partners started investing themselves, and all the many extension and delivery institutions were having almost one hosted by themselves at their, different locations in our countries of interventions. Scientifically, this looked like a, it replicated multiple varieties trial, but it also engaged thoroughly a lot of stakeholders together, brainstorming and selecting these varieties on the basis of scorecard ranking. And but also what interesting part was that when these events of varietal selection happens, or that the objective remains as a the dialogue and a collective demand generation, because once they know, they agree or disagree, they discuss what is going to work for our area, what is not going to work for our area. The men versus women, they bargain with each other. The farmers versus the market stakeholders, they bargain with each other to see those, the entire process of negotiation and bargaining that happen, under one umbrella when they are together brainstorming and deciding. They look at what are the best one or two products they would be liking to take over. And many go back and grow on their own, and many also go back with the linkages created through such kind of events. So it served multiple results by doing this exercise. As you can see, these are some examples, and these are not any research station trials. These are maintained by the farmers. These are in the farmer field and so meticulously run by many farmer collectives so confidently at this point of time, and also by many extension agencies that works in the national systems. And we also try to create community varietal clusters and also convert them into seed clusters by ensuring AGS early generation seeds are being used for demonstration purpose, because we understand the formal dealership networks may take time to make sure that new varieties are available in the distribution system, because obviously after the registration and release, it will take 2 to 3 seasons for early generation seed to multiply, the demand mass to be generated. But meanwhile, when we demonstrate a product to our agriculture department or other flagship programs, when we exit from that area and the farmers look for the seeds and it is not timely available, they might shift to the alternative and we may lose the momentum. Therefore, we just did not do traditional demonstrations. We ensured that all those demonstration clusters are also serving as quality seed production clusters by rigorously training those community, the groups or the farmers who are hosting the cluster, so that they are also self-sufficient in their quality seed till the government or the formal distribution system is taking over for the new variety. And we engage thoroughly with also the critical actors like the dealers and millers. As I said, that it is important to integrate market and society when we talk about seed, and we cannot ignore those critical influencers in the seed market. So influencing them, creating awareness and information about the arriving new products was very critical, and we thoroughly engaged with them also through different means. So coming to sum up, what I shared with, what actually triggered the change, first and foremost, innovation and a dedicated effort which is that bridging the gap between the breeding research and the extension systems. Ajay kept on saying that we made sure that they understood the same language and they spoke the same language and they had a common vision and the common interest and wisdom what to achieve at the end of the day. And remaining open to the changes which we brought in, we knew that it may take some time to streamline things, but we knew that this is going to work because we are working through a common vision. And as I said, we stopped delinking or talking about market and society in silos. Often people, when talk about social equity, inclusivity, they is a foreign element. Market doesn't come into play, but no, in the case of seed, that is not the case. And for many product, it is not the case. For many crops. So that is what we believed, and we brought them together to weave into a integrated framework, and we brought in multidisciplinary teams into one umbrella to work with and engage with our stakeholders in a thorough manner. And we never forget scale, volume, and speed to market. Because at the end of the day, when we are talking about impact, that will only be realized when we have the scale. We cannot talk about the impacts like climate change and nutrition by doing only, work in silos, but not ensuring that scaling pathways. So we categorically invested and also evaluated ourselves that how the scaling aspect of those germplasms is going and what direction it is going, what we are learning and what momentum needs to be, pushed ahead. So all those aspects remain a critical driving factor for us. And lastly, but not the least, and one of the strength of our approach was that it was fiercely inclusive and participatory at every stage, be it our stakeholders, be it our farmers, be it our women farmers versus men farmers, be it our farmers versus market actors. So probably we left no one in this whole process and journey on the decision making, starting from the planning to delivery stage. So this is all from my side. Often still people ask, like, what do you do different? So I just want to say that we don't do different things. We do things differently. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Nayak, for such an enlightening and engrossing presentation. Congratulations once again for bagging the prestigious Borlaug Field Award. Namaste, everyone. I am Madhulika Singh, a woman in science, and I am an active member of the Women in Crop Science group. I would like to thank CIMIT and the CGIAR for creating such a wonderful platform where women leaders from all the areas are being recognized. Coming back to Dr. Nayak, trust me, the effort that she has put is immense. While working in the region, I have witnessed her hard work that created this momentum. You will definitely serve as a role model for the younger generation, Dr. Nayak. In order to understand her work more and what worked and what did not work at the field, I chose to volunteer for her interview. So to start with, I would like to ask you, Dr. Nayak, who has been the woman role model in the professional journey of yours?
I don't know. I mean, it's a very tough question to, really answer. But then I cannot say the particular individual to say that I was inspired, because I believe that everyone's journey is very different, and how we start, what is our background, our life experience, and that actually shape up, like, how we look at the change process or the change we talk about. So often I struggle to name an individual who could inspire me, because then I think that I'm limiting myself, my creativity, my own identity. But I, have said that, like, when I started working at a very young age in my career with women farmers and their programs, and I thought that they were, and the community, the smallholder farmers, they were my source of inspirations, because I saw tremendous potential in them. But the systemic inaccessibility to, different, critical factors of that could lead to better change, like be it simple information, simple tools, services, the information about the source of those services, that lack of, things created some tremendous constraints for them. And but still, we saw that, through different flagship initiatives, a lot of promising and flourishing community institutions groups, emerged in the context of South Asia, what I have seen growing up in all this career. And that carried tremendous opportunity to coexist with what is happening. We often tend to, think about what is happening through government schemes, what is happening, through our formal distribution setups. But no single institution or setup can ever cater to the needs of the millions of client face. Let us be practical. The growing needs of the population will never stop. And even if how much we strengthen our formal delivery and extension systems, that would never be able to cater. So the only way is empowering and making people self-sufficient. And that was the central idea for me also, like, you empower yourself, you create, you work to create that avenues for themselves, and opportunities do come. So I think I derive my source from those all grassroots warriors, I would say.
In order to get more number of women in science, basically, I feel the focus should be on co-creation. I mean, working together rather than isolation. What do you feel about it? If it hold yes for you, do you have any, like, examples of such,
Absolutely. It is necessary that we integrate, and we cannot, isolate ourselves. And it's about women and women working together, but it's also about women and men working together. And also bringing in multidisciplinary, individuals and thought processes, and respecting each other's view and standing point is something very important. If Ajay, for example, I would say that I myself consider more of a mix of social researcher, but also a market development expert. I mean, I bring a kind of a skill which is more hybrid, I say. And but then, when I was working with many women scientists and colleagues who were actually breeders. And the way they speak and they talk, and the understanding, and the way I work was initially very different. I mean, obviously we belong to different thing, but at the end of the day, somewhere subconsciously we know that we are working for a common goal. And now that was our task, that how we identify that common goal, and how we decode each other's language and integrate. So in that process, I worked with many, colleagues in my own rice breeding innovation platforms, teams, and other also multidisciplinary teams from other teams to collaborate on different research activities on ground. And yeah, so the open communication, the transparency, and learning from each other was the key process of change which we all followed.
How do you think we can make our work environments at CGIAR more gender sensitive, Swati?
Yeah. So yes, few things are there that of course, this is something a thing that we cannot ignore. Everyone's equality matters, but also quantity matters. So the number of representation of women in decision making and leadership roles is equally important and a primus thing. So that opportunity should be created and given with a targeted mode to ensure that how far we are going ahead in that direction, to ensure that those women are representing at different forums and platforms. And also in terms of creating work environment to create a flexible, adaptable environment for them to be, and the open space to share their, the concerns, and also give them an opportunity to be creative. And because we know that many women can be very creative and great in multitasking, thinking out of the box, because many women who are mothers, and who are also have carried their professional aspirations and etc., when they juggle across different social and professional barriers, they have no way but to innovate and become the smartest worker to accomplish everything within the limited time. So often people also ask me that, how do you accomplish this? How you are able to do this? I said, kid, I don't know. I got re-engineered at certain point of life or time, I guess so that I think it in a more effective or efficient manner, that okay, I'll be able to deliver this much, but the number of hours and days have not changed. But I know I have delivered much more what I used to deliver earlier in terms of my overall role as an individual also, but as a professionals. So we have that advantage and edge also, and that needs to be utilized, and the opportunities in terms of equal career opportunity, representation in leadership roles, and flexibility. Those are few things which I think organization can easily do for women to do great things.
Thank you. That's all from my side. I had certain other questions as well, but we are running short of time, so I would like to give the floor to Isabel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your this interesting conversation. And we have received several questions on the Slido. So I would like to start reading the first one. It says, your inspiring work sets a high standard. What were the primary internal and external challenges, and how did you address them?
Sorry, can you repeat this?
Sure. Just one second. Your inspiring work sets a high standard. What were the primary internal and external challenges, and how did you address them? This is more
Yeah.
about challenges.
Yeah, certainly. So, what do I see? It's very, I don't know, how do I segregate internal and external, because everything is linked, and I don't think that anything is external, because at the end of the day, if it is affecting me or my work or my decision making and everything, it becomes internal for me. So, but I can definitely certainly say that, being a women professional, having my aspirations, but also having my juggles life, juggling between different expectations that probably my other roles in the societal setup, and also at the workspace that was there for me. I did have like my bits of struggles, and not just struggles, great struggles, so to cope up with that, to also take care of her mental health, to also also keep dreaming about what you want to achieve, and also I kept on always thinking that this thing, and I believe that women can have it all, and I wanted to have it all. So to have it all, I needed to choose, prioritize, compromise on many things, and so I had to share, ask, and create that kind of structures, help, and other things for myself. And then the one thing was that starting conversations at my home, and also starting the conversations at my workplace with my team, my managers, to remain to make them aware about the reality, situations, struggles, and also your aspirations. And I got all kinds of positive supports through many great managers at workplace, but also from my family, and these are the things which I handled. And sometimes I reflect back how I handle. I may not have, things, but then, sometimes it is said that destiny favors the brave, and if you have conviction and commitment to do things, you will find your ways out, and there will be a lot of people and institutional support. And I have been really, while I consider that, CGIAR is not a common workplace. It's an exceptional workplace because of the kind of expectation, the responsibilities we have for our end user farmers, or the social, environmental goals, and etc. It's really, really a serious job. And if we have chosen to make a career in this institution, I have also equally got tremendous opportunity and sensitivity to my colleagues, my seniors, my managers, my leaders. So I would really like to thank them all also. Without them, this would not be possible. So yeah, it's not I handling those challenges alone, people also coming out and helping me at right stages.
Thank you, Swati, for this very interesting, enlightening response. Also, well, now we are in the Q&A session, so we invite, I would like to open the floor for questions from the audience. We have received several in the Slido. I just read the first one. So we invite you to raise your hand, to turn on your camera, and unmute yourself if you would like to ask a question or comment, or you can submit it via Slido. So I'm going to read the following question we have received in the Slido tool. What do you think the role of mentorship is for building up women leaders in science? Are you a mentor for other women scientists?
probably I will now, or maybe in due course, will enter into a stage of mentorship. I look forward to, but like, as suddenly as I have seen that, when this prestigious award announcement, came up, and when I am actually flooded with requests for many discussions, and in many of these discussions which I have attended, I have seen a huge participations from young ones, like the young professionals, young early career professionals, even the students aspiring to get into the organizational space or the research career and etc. Through different forums, through different social network, and I have been flooded with requests and queries and questions and things and guidance, and that is something I am trying my best to support them. But even prior to that, I have been always at my level and capacity have tried to extend support and in terms of being my advices, sharing my own experiences, or motivating the young scholars and students. And that is my reputation, is that I have been working closely with mostly students and scholars in my research programs also. Like they are engaged in large number of quantity. So in numbers, head counts, I would say that they are very part and parcel of many collaborative research we do, and we engage them. And many of them are young, promising women scholars and students, and from different, developing pockets, and in terms of enhancing their research capacity, caliber, and also like making choices for their career, also helping them in in their juggles between the personal and professional dilemma as a woman to woman. So I have tried my best to whatever experience I have got in this span of life to share with them, and I don't restrict myself, and I'm quite accessible in that way, that happy to share. And yes.
Thank you so much. I would like to give Madhulika for the space for one more question. Madhulika, yes, please.
What advice would you give to the female scientists who are working along with you and, at the ground level, Swati,
Yeah. The first and foremost, I give advice to everyone, is that like the kind of work we have, it carries on its shoulder a huge responsibility, and this responsibility is to larger social goodwill. And we should be proud of doing this work, and that passion and that result orientation in us should never go. First and foremost, we should always be, as a professional, should always have that goal and result orientedness in us to do those things, and go beyond the normal course, like how extra mile we can go beyond our normal course to leave an imprint. I also understand often there is and it is a fact, like at different stages for many women, probably it requires more effort than their male counterparts, because they have to balance multiple roles and the expectations together. It takes a toll. But what I would say that, like, don't get carried away with the norm or the traditional expectations set around you. It's important that you decide what is priority to you, and there is no harm in communicating it straightforward, and there is no harm in thinking that probably if you miss out, or the fear of missing out often glares at us, and this is a psychology that many young women go through, and you can prioritize your life's goals very well than anyone else, and you can clearly communicate that one. And while you chase the excellence, I would say that keep your priorities straight at different stages of your life.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate Swati. We appreciate Swati Nayak and Madhulika Singh for this very interesting conversation. Thank you so much, Swati, for your great talk. We are glad you shared with us your professional and personal growth experience. Thank you so much for taking your time today. We also thank the audience for joining and invite you to the following seminar, Catalyst of Change, Women Leaders in Science. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is Carolina Trivelli. I am a Peruvian economist. I am a senior researcher at Instituto de Estudios Peruanos, the oldest and more prominent think tank in Peru. I conduct research in three major areas: poverty alleviation and social policies, rural development, and financial inclusion. After 20 years of being a researcher at IEP, I was invited to become the first Minister of Development and Social Inclusion of Peru, a major challenge, especially because I had the responsibility of creating this new sector and building a social inclusion agenda within the public sector of Peru. I can devote my time 1/3 to do research, 1/3 to provide advising services and consultancy work, and 1/3 to work with social organizations, to do mentoring, to really work with civil society, with private firms, and with public sector offices to really improve social conditions, to increase opportunities for all, and to build a better country, better opportunities, better chances of success for everybody. I spend a lot of time doing mentoring for professional women and for younger women organizations to ensure that every woman in this country can pursue their dreams, can do whatever they want with all the opportunities and all the efforts they deserve. Every work we do to support women in this country for sure translates in better results for them in their individual lives, but also they improve the whole society. They improve the chances of every other woman in this country. So I'm very proud to be here and hope we will have the chance to talk more.
Please join our next seminar in the Catalyst of Change series on December 5th.